Hello, my fellow veterans out there. How you doing this evening? I hope everybody's doing good. Starting to turn a little autumnish here up in Ohio. It's been chilly last few days, but we had a lot of rain yesterday, so that could be it. But hey, good show tonight. If you love horses, this is definitely for you. Unless you're like me, who's absolutely petrified of horses, this show's for you as well because it could help you out. So let's go ahead and get things started, shall we? All right, everybody. Yep. Tim Hauser here again with Veteran Central. And today we are showcasing an awesome nonprofit called Fieldstone Farm here up in Northeast Ohio. And today we have Dr. I hope I pronounced it correctly, Aviva Vincent on the show. And she actually runs the farm. So welcome to the show, Aviva.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you tonight.
We're excited to have you, especially since you're in Northeast Ohio like us. We love to definitely showcase what's available to our fellow veterans out there. And I know your farm does a lot more than just deal with veterans, so we're going to talk about your entire farm. All right. First, how did you come up with the idea to uh, have Fieldstone Farm?
So, I'm actually not the founder or the executive director by any stretch of the imagination. I joined the farm about 6 years ago as the program director and have transitioned my role a little bit over the last year, where I'm predominantly overseeing our veterans program and a body of research and education. But our farm actually started in 78, so 45 years ago. It was a smaller piece of land and two leased horses and two different community organizations who were coming out to bring services to individuals with special needs. And from that one site, we moved a little ways down the road to a little bit bigger site. And then eventually we broke ground. So this photo behind me is our current location. So we're located right on Snyder Road in Chagrin Falls, Bainbridge area. Um, we're 45 acres of land. We have about 40 horses, and we are what's called a PATH International Accredited Center. So, the Professional Association for Therapeutic Horsemanship International is our accrediting body. And so, all of our instructors, which are our staff who facilitate lessons and programming, our instructors, are certified under PATH. And so that leaves us great opportunity to be able to support individuals from ages 4 up through the lifespan. So I think our eldest was 96, I want to say, just this year.
Mm.
And we do a mixture of programs. We do ground-based programs, we do riding, and we do carriage driving. And what led for us to do this is really the same as our accrediting organization, which was knowing the healing power of horses and how we could partner with horses as our co-facilitators, really. So they're not a tool, they're part of the process. What started as helping specifically individuals with special needs, and predominantly we're talking about physical disabilities,
Mm.
and that grew over the years to really also bring in individuals with social emotional needs, with grief, loss, different types of other, not necessarily the physical disabilities where the work started. And so PATH as an organization originally was NARA, North American Handicap Riding Association. And with the recognition that this wasn't just about serving people with physical disabilities, and it's not just about um, riding. This really is about bonding with horses for the sake of healing in all capacities.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I entered into was actually being the recipient of healing through horses and knowing that power, and then having a job opportunity, a career opportunity open up before me where I could be a part of that work.
And it seems to by looking at the pictures of all your um, employees and instructors and everything out there, it looks like it's definitely one happy place.
It is. It is a happy
Right.
place.
And now you and I have spoken prior to this,
Mhm.
uh, what, about a month or so ago, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit longer, and I could tell the enthusiasm you have for this facility is just overwhelming, and it's just
Yeah.
awesome to me. And that's one of the reasons why I knew I had to get you on this show, because if you're as enthusiastic about it and the information that I'm receiving is even more enthusiastic, you
Yeah.
definitely got one heck of a program going on there. So
Thank
now I know you work with a lot of different type of groups,
Yes.
and this is a veteran show. So let's kind of talk about veterans for a little bit here.
Yeah.
How did you get into having programs for veterans?
So the specifically at Fieldstone, the program actually started long before I got there. So there was a partnership with specifically with the VA in Cleveland, where different departments of the VA would bring groups of anywhere 5, 10 individuals for weekly programming. That was really launched by shoes that were very big for me to fill. um, so there was history within the program before I even got there. For me, I got into serving veterans. I did not actually serve myself. I do have family, a lot of family who have served, and I grew up with my dad who did serve, and recognizing that he was most grounded when he was around horses that we had around the house or around home. And when I started actually doing this work as a therapeutic riding instructor, I found so my original population I was working with were, and I hate the term, but the quote unquote at risk youth. It's a label that we can kind of picture, but I don't think
Mhm.
it does anybody justice. Um, and what I found was that the same challenges and reasons that the kids were being brought by their parents to be with those horses was the same environment that the veterans were looking for but didn't have the words to articulate. And so when I started applying the same lesson plans that I was doing with the youth to the with the adults, I was seeing profound changes. And so what that meant to me was we were talking about things, if I get really technical for a second, we're talking about safety in space. We're talking about knowing who's safe and who you can trust. We're talking about building safe relationships. So the horse, really, not the human, and having a place to just be yourself, a non-judgmental space. And then over time, building community. Now, I don't know about you, but who doesn't want that?
Right.
So I was able to take this experience that I had from working with youth and apply it for adults. And what I saw was so profound that I just have never been able to step away.
Oh man, that's awesome. And now, does the VA still bring groups out,
Yes.
or
Yep. So what has evolved over time is that the different departments within the VA that come to us have shifted and changed over time. Unfortunately, some of that's due to COVID, right? So some
Mhm.
departments are no longer functioning through the VA. Some departments don't allow field trips anymore. There was restructuring. Some staff left, and they were some of our advocates and allies in the work. And then others have now stepped up and saying, "Yes, please," and I really want to do more. And how do we come out? And the other thing that actually happened was we started to go to the VA. So we have a minivan that is outfitted in the back for two minis to come on,
Oh
and
wow.
we take them down to the VA. So the idea of access has really changed
Mhm.
over time. So we have both the VA program, we have other community organizations that serve veterans that bring veterans out to us, whether they're one time or ongoing programs. And then we also just have a community program. So anybody from the community can come to us for either weekly or every other week sessions for about an hour and a half in groups. That's where we really built that community. So it's groups of 10 who are really strong community now.
No, that's awesome. And once the veteran, well, first, what are the requirements for veterans in order to get into the program?
To want to be there.
Just to
Really,
want to
that's
be
it.
there. That's
We
it.
don't
All right.
ask for any, what's your PTSD score? What's your no, like none of it. None of that. It is literally an open door for anybody who wants to work intentionally with horses. There is a flavor of mental health, right? We literally have a licensed clinical social worker who's part of our group. So there is a flavor of mental health in this. So anybody who wants to be a little bit vulnerable, build a community, be present, work with horses, right? That's really that's more of me saying, "Hey, we're here," and those in the community saying, "Okay, I want to come," rather than us actually vetting through people.
Now that I really like, because there's
Yeah,
there's a lot of nonprofits out there that actually vet veterans first before they actually provide services to them, and
not a
I just don't understand why they do that. Um, Now, when a veteran first arrives onto your property for the very first time, what can they expect?
they can expect a lot in a short time. So, typically myself or one of our other staff that works within the veterans programs will meet them up front. We do have paperwork because everybody does, but it's short and
Mhm.
it's not bad, I promise. But a little bit of paperwork that just lets us know what your intentions are, emergency contacts, and things like that. A little bit around medical, just so that we know that you're going to be safe in the barn, right? So, literally, if somebody has like epilepsy, it's important for us to know because we're working with 1,000-pound animal.
Right.
So there's a little bit of medical. Um, and also an important piece that we have a commitment of attendance that basically says whatever group it is that somebody's signing into, barring life happens, that you're going to come for a set period of time with the opportunity to continue on because we don't charge veterans for programming at all. So we have a really amazing donor and supporter of our program that supports our veterans programs in full so that we never have to turn anyone away for inability to pay, but even more for the veterans that there is no cost to participate, full stop. So we go over that in detail and then we take a tour of the barn and we take a tour of the property. And some people, mobility is a challenge, so we keep it
Mhm.
short. And for some, it's the first time that they've left the downtown Cleveland area and are out in nature, and we will give you all the time you want. We talk about the program, what to expect when you're with the group, who to expect to be in the barn at the same time, because that's really important. What spaces in the barn we're going to be in, showing those ahead of time, and then also what other resources are available. So, for example, the social worker who supports, I call it my group, but the Friday night group, also will offer one-on-one sessions. So, if something comes up and we don't have a group that week, and you really want some horse time and some one-on-one time, how to connect and get that scheduled in an efficient way that doesn't feel stressful. So, we go through a lot of those kind of programmatic details.
That's good. And now I know you heard me at the beginning here that I am absolutely petrified of horses.
Yes.
So if a veteran says, "Hey, I want to be there, but I'm scared to death to be
Yeah.
next to a horse," what do you do to get them comfortable around those animals?
So the fact that you want to be there is enough, right? Just come. Um, we have so many people who the first week, the first couple of weeks, they don't touch the horses, and that's okay. Part of being in the environment is not physical contact with the horse, but it's being in this environment that is different and novel, but also safe and like routine, right? You know what
Mhm.
to expect, where, and all of that, right? So the first thing I say is just come, be in the space, right? Get used to the smell and the sounds and the people, and just be with us. And over time, maybe you just pet a horse, touch it once and you're done, right? Maybe you decide that you actually want to try leading. Okay, you try it. We have amazing volunteers who actually go through an additional training. So we have trainings for volunteers for all of our programs. We have an additional layer of training when it comes to our veterans program. And anything that constitutes equine facilitated psychotherapy, which is just a really specific word for saying intentional group that's going to be closed because
Hmm.
there's something meaningful happening in that space. Um, and those volunteers are trained with confidentiality, with kind of the sensitivity of the populations that we're working with. So it's not just veterans. Sometimes it is women who have experienced trafficking. It could be some of our students who have just some trauma in their lives, right? And so it's this idea that instead of the typical, we're going to lead the horse and go ride and move quickly, it's we're going to slow down. And maybe all we're going to do is lead one time around the arena, and that's sufficient for this person. And that's okay. And so it's teaching our volunteers to change expectations so that they can support you in real time the way that you need that doesn't fit a system, right? It's a person. So we have our instructor, we have a social worker, we have our volunteers. So there's a lot of support built in that if all you do is find one person who you think's kind of cool and you sit down and have a great conversation, it's a great use of an hour on a Friday night.
Yeah, that sure is. And I loved what you had just said, that it's a person, not a system.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
everything has to be personal, right? It
yes.
has to be. Um, I think my experience with the group that I've been a part of, the Friday night group, it's been about 3 years going. And sometimes I think the horse there's just we always say jokingly and seriously, I don't know what it is, but there's magic with the horses, right? There's also something really powerful just between the people in the room. So to answer your question, I think it's just being present. Now, if you say to me, I really want to also engage with the horses and I'm scared. Okay. Okay. Let's just go walk through the barn, right? Let's hear the
Hmm.
horses. Usually the thing that scares people is like when the horses blow out their nose, it sounds like they're sneezing. It's just
Hmm.
kind of an abrupt noise. Okay. So let's get used to hearing that a few times. Let's maybe, for some people, it's starting with the minis and gradually working up to a taller horse. Sometimes that's not even the issue. It's just horses are a different body shape, right? Being in the same space as them. So there's a lot of ways that I can work with you to figure out, what is it, right? Is it an old memory? I can tell you 9 times out of 10 when somebody says, I hate horses, I say, okay, what happened? And they say, this one time in Costa Rica on the beach, right? There's this story of the horse taken off. Like, okay, this isn't that. So we can always work through it if you want to.
All right. And now, if a now is it just veterans that come on like Friday night, or do some of their family members come as well?
So the groups, we have a couple of groups throughout the week that are just the veterans. And I'm very specific to say veterans too. They are veterans. We do
Hmm.
also have other programming throughout the year. Like we had a partnership program with the USO, and it was for families that were going to be, I think they were getting deployed within a month. And so we had a program for them pre-deployment. We had a date night, right, with the USO.
Oh, there you go.
I've done grief and loss programs. We actually had a camp for kids of military families. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
different programs and opportunities. And if somebody wants something, we can make it happen. Right. So if you are with a community organization and you say, okay, I want to have, we call them field trips, but like a 1 day, couple hours where the people you serve, which might be reservists or active military or families or whatever it is, yeah, we can do that.
Oh man, awesome. Because you got to admit, because you go to these resource fairs, some of these other organizations, they're pretty strict. They're like,
Mhm.
no family members allowed. Well, I can understand on certain aspects of that, but when like a veteran loses a leg and they're going through a program through another nonprofit, they need your family support as well. So
Yeah.
to deny them that I don't think that's right. So that's why I appreciate you having both just veterans only, and then you have the other programs where,
Yeah.
and then you hit a very important part where I don't see very much of, with all the research that I'm doing on other nonprofits, is you actually have a program for the kids.
Yes.
And the only other nonprofit that I found that actually has a program for kids is a organization called TAPS.
Mhm.
It's where spouse lost their veteran, and the only way the kids get into the program is if the spouse decides to get into the program themselves. Then the kids can come with the parent.
Mhm.
And that's the only thing close to, having any type of program for kids that I've found so far,
So
other than.
down in Columbus
Mhm,
area, there's Ohio Military Kids.
mhm,
Um, they used to be throughout the whole state, and we actually had a really strong partnership with them, but during COVID, I don't know what the transition was personally, but they transitioned down more towards the Columbus area. So, we haven't had as much contact with them just 'cause there's a long drive that it would be driving longer than
right.
to be with us, but it is another really great program that we used to have a strong partnership with.
Well, thank you for mentioning
Yeah,
them. I'll look them up and
absolutely.
see if I can't get them on
Um,
here as well.
I'd be surprised if there weren't a couple others in the state, but I personally don't know about them. One of
Mhm.
the way that we have done our, so this past summer was actually the first time that we had that military kids camp. We've had other programs that are open to families, but that was the first time that we said, let's do a full camp Monday through Friday just for the kids. And the way that we reached out was actually through parents who were part of our other programs to say, hey, do you or anyone you know want to participate in this, as a way to just kind of grow the community, right? A little
Mhm.
grassroots.
Yeah, there you go. And that's the best way of getting stuff done is through grassroots. So now I know you do other. Well, first let me bring up this one picture here. Gotta show off your horses here for a minute. All right. Now,
It's butterscotch.
ah, yeah, I saw you got a whole page of every single horse in there, and you got like a bio of each
Mhm.
horse.
Every horse has their own bio.
Yes. And as folks, as you can see, these are very well taken care of animals.
Yes.
They're beautiful, beautiful animals.
So if I
Just
may speak a little bit to that. So we
yes.
are incredibly fortunate, in the way that our horses come to us. So our horses are predominantly donated, by members of the community. Occasionally, we will bring a horse in that we do, have to pay something for, um, when we have a very specific need in the program. So, for example, if we needed a carriage driving horse and there really aren't any around, and that's something that's needed in order to serve clients and participants, then we will do that. But most of our horses are donated, in part
Yeah.
and full. Most of the horses that come to us are in their teens, 20s. They're mature folk. Um, so and that's I mean, that's really we've had a number of donors who are repeat donors too. So they know that their horses have had wonderful first, second, third careers with them, and now they're ready for a semi-retirement, right?
Yeah,
And so
there
they
you
come
go.
to us.
Yes.
So our herd is a little bit on the older side. Um, they are incredibly well cared for. So right now, with the weather being nice, we a lot of the pasture that you see in the pictures,
Mhm.
that's all turnout, and so our horses go out overnight. We have soft stalls in the stalls. We have fans in the stalls. They get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and their supplements. And I mean, anything that we can do to make them comfortable, we do. So they get Magna Wave and massage therapy, and
Oh
because
wow.
we would not have a program without them. I truly see them as my, like, co-therapists and co-facilitators. Like, I cannot do my job without the horses.
Uh,
So I will do whatever it takes to make sure that they're comfortable and well cared for, which is a standard really within our whole industry to ensure that we really do the best we can for the horses.
Now, you had mentioned that you do other programs as well besides help veterans. You want to
Yes.
elaborate on some of those?
Yeah, so we have an adaptive riding program. So that is if you were to think about going for riding lessons, right? The difference is that we have both the tack, so what's literally on the horse that can be um, changed to meet somebody's needs. So, for example, if you have somebody who doesn't have the dexterity in their fingers to hold just the leather strip of the reins, we have reins that have rings on them so that you can hold one of the rings. Right. So, what it makes it an adaptive riding is that we change the dynamics of what's done to meet the needs of the person. Again, it's not a system, it's about the
Mhm.
individual.
Yes.
We also have we would not have an industry if not for the good graces of volunteers. So almost everybody who gets on the back of the horse has a volunteer who's physically leading the horse until they are ready to lead independent or ride independently. Some people have one or two sidewalkers. They may be physically supporting them or really just standing next to them and being their greatest champion and helping them focus. There's
Mhm.
a whole range. Um, so the riding are 45-minute lessons. In the mornings, Monday through Friday, we have school groups or community organizations who come to us as part of their school day or program day. In the afternoon, from about 4 to 8 o'clock, we have lessons in the evenings, and then we have lessons on Saturdays as well. For those who either don't want to ride, are over the weight limit for our horses, or have some kind of just needs that riding is not the safest choice, we have carriage driving. So it is literally a cart behind a horse and another person who has a lot of skill driving with you in the cart or carriage, and our instructors who are certified as carriage driving instructors, providing lessons to two people at a time. Again, they're 45-minute lessons, and we do those 4 days, maybe even 5 days now, but 4 days a week. So we have the carriage driving lessons, we have adaptive riding lessons, and then we have all of our ground-based programming, which is our veterans groups, but it's also senior groups that come to us. It is school districts coming for professional development opportunities. It's all types of nonprofits coming for different whole host of reasons. So really that 4 up through the lifespan will
Mhm.
create what you want.
Oh man, it's awesome. And I like how it's not only therapeutic for folks, but it sounds like it's also therapeutic for you and your staff as well.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, honestly, I got into this because of horses' impact on my own life. Um, that it was not a linear path by any stretch of the imagination, but I can link those two together in hindsight. So there definitely is everybody who gets into um, this industry has a why. It might be the people, it might be the horses, but I think more often than not, it's the horses.
Oh man, that's awesome. Now, doing some research on your uh, organization, there, I saw that you have this one special event, and you just had it here recently. Let
We
me
did. It was just last weekend.
and let's go ahead and let the people know exactly what this
Yes.
event is.
So this is called Chefs Unbridled. It is our annual event. I believe it was over 300 people. We have um, the Driftwood Catering Group comes out with their different chefs, and we call it Chefs Unbridled for a reason. It's if you were to picture around the outside edge of the tent, all these different tables with all types of different food cooked by the most amazing chefs in the area. And then there's just different other entertainment. We have a live auction and we have a wine pool. And it's also just a great time to connect with people from the community. So some of our students come, some of our supporters and donors come, some members of the community who may not have a touch point in other times of the year with Fieldstone come every year to this event. So it really is fun. One of the highlights too is that we always showcase a video that we produce either about a group or a student who's currently in our program. They're always up on YouTube as well after the fact, but seeing that there with the people around and just it's just a magical night. I keep coming back to magic because it's just in the
Hmm.
absence of the science language, it's the only way that I can explain. Um, but I actually can give you the science behind it too, that it's not just fluff. It's an easy way of saying it's really special.
Now, this is kind of like a fundraiser event for you.
It is. It is our largest fundraiser of the year.
Ah,
It is
man.
truly how we keep the lights on throughout the year, in addition to the support that we get from individuals and donors and grants. But this is a huge part of our initiatives.
And if for next year, if somebody's interested in attending this, do they just go to your website and be
Mhm.
able to buy tickets there? And
Yep. So through our website, you can just give us a call. Usually, the tickets, I believe, they go on sale somewhere around July or August. They sell fast. So the other easiest way is send an email. Right on our website, there's a link for joining our newsletter. Get on the newsletter because it'll go out there. It'll say save the date, and it'll let you know the date that the tickets go on sale, and
oh,
that is
cool.
the way to do
All right. Thank you. I'm going to have to put
it.
start doing a newsletter on my website here. All right. And about how many chefs do you have come and prepare food?
I believe it was in the 20s.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna be really embarrassed to admit this. I was not there this year. My brother-in-law's wedding was on the same day, so
Oh,
I was out of state this year. I missed it. It was not a planning that I could change, so
well, yeah, that's understandable.
yes. So apologies. I believe it was in the 20s.
Okay. But still, 20 chefs from the Cleveland area. Now, folks, if you're not from the Cleveland area, you are missing out on some great food.
It's true.
You are.
It's very true.
You are. There are some amazing chefs in the Cleveland area, not just in Cleveland alone, but the surrounding area, like Lakewood.
Mhm.
I know there's one really good chef in Chagrin Falls as well. All the whole Northeast Ohio area is full of some fantastic chefs. So if you ever get out to Cleveland, visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and get some great food in Cleveland. There's some great restaurants. And okay, that's my spot for Cleveland for the day. But now, if a veteran doesn't go through the VA, can they contact you on their own and say, "Hey, I'd like
Oh,
to go
yes,
to one of your veterans programs"?
absolutely. So we have those VA programs, right? So somebody, let's say somebody who's listening is a director of a department, and you say, "Yes, I want to do this." Connect with us, okay? But if you are a veteran and you're not affiliated with the VA, or you're not, I don't know, that's not the route that you want to go. You don't want to come to us as part of the VA. You literally just send us an email. Hey, I'm a veteran. I want to be part. That's it. So we have groups that are just there are community groups on Tuesday mornings and every other Friday. There will likely be more added over time, but those have been our steady Eddie groups. We have a group through the Cleveland Vet Center that comes to us on Wednesdays. So if you are part of the Vet Center, not the VA system, but the centers themselves, I believe it's the Seth. I'm blanking on his last name.
Yeah,
Uh,
I can't remember Seth's last name either. I know who you're talking about though.
yeah, so he was
Mhm.
a huge support to the group and could connect people. So if you're affiliated with the vet center, he would be the great contact to say, like, hey, I'm interested in this. I'm already part of
Mhm.
the vet center. How do I come out on Wednesdays?
Yep. Matter of fact, I'm trying to get him to come on the show here soon. So
Wonderful. He's great.
yes. And matter of fact, a friend of mine on Facebook went to an event here recently. It wasn't Chef Sombrado. It was another event.
Mhm.
Um, and it was promoting your farm.
Oh,
I wish I could remember what event she
I would
said she
love
was
to know
at.
what it was.
Yes, and but they were somebody was there raising money for your program, so I told her, say, hey, I'm having them on the podcast here this coming Wednesday, so I know there's a group there watching. So if you are watching, the chat is open, so you can put in your comments or your questions, and we'll get to them as soon as you post them. And now, one thing that I was wondering about too is um, I know you say you have social workers out there,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the veterans that seek out um, programs such as this suffer from PTSD,
Yes.
and they're trying to find different ways to be able to cope.
Mm-hmm.
If a veteran has an episode, something tells me you folks are very well trained and able to handle that situation.
I would like to think so. Yes. Yes. So I won't be I'll be honest in my answer, or very candid in my answer
Mhm.
for you. So as long as somebody has a support system in some way, shape, or form, right?
Mhm.
That could be a clinician in the VA system. It could be something informal like, a sibling or a parent that's within driving distance of them, right? Then I'm very comfortable with somebody who says, I have active post traumatic stress symptoms going on, right?
Mhm.
Because when we're doing this work, the truth is it can be feel very lighthearted, and something will come up at some point in time. That
Right.
doesn't mean you're going to have a full, if you want to use the term episode, or symptoms come out or whatever. But there's going to be a moment where a support system is just helpful. That doesn't mean if you don't have that, don't come. That means if you don't have that, let us know at the start, right? Let us help
Yes.
you build that before you dive into the work. Um, that being said, yes, we absolutely do. So personally, I'm going to speak for my group and my experience. So I'm a licensed social worker, not an independent social worker, but I have my licensed social worker at the master's level. I have a doctorate in social work and human animal interaction. I have training both through Path International, specifically I'm an equine specialist for mental health and learning, and Equine Services for Heroes. And I'm a Herd Institute graduate for equine facilitated psychotherapy, and currently going through their advanced program now. So I'm a constant learner. I am certified and trained to do this work. As a human being, if we understand that not all experiences are the same, but we can all fall
Right.
under the same umbrella,
Mhm.
I have experienced post traumatic stress myself. I take the D off because I don't want to be labeled with a disorder. I want
Right.
to know that I can also grow. So, what I can say is I've experienced post traumatic stress, and I'm working on post traumatic growth. I set my group up to have the access to have the same experience if that feels right to them. I absolutely have had individuals in my group share really hard things and need to take time before they're safe to drive home. I have had people have very unexpected moments, right? So we'll be grooming a horse. This happened one time where somebody was grooming a horse, and one of the horses down the way kicked the stall, and it made a loud sound that they weren't expecting. And it was really scary. And there were a lot of feelings that came up. And that was a wonderful opportunity to say, okay, now where are you? Right? Ground, floor, door, light, seat, right? I'm present. I'm here. I'm grounded. Okay. Are you safe? Who's with you? Right? I'm here. You're here. They're here. The horse is here. Okay. So what do you need to do? I need to breathe. I need to get water. Right? So we were able to actually practice everything to get regrounded and then continue in the activity. If there's going to be a place to have to do that, it's one of the best places.
There you go. All right. And now, for those of you who are not from Northeast Ohio, you're down south. We're out in California or Texas. It gets quite cold up here in Ohio in the winter.
It's not that bad.
Well, true. 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 Yeah, matter of fact, I think last winter it was pretty much, extremely mild actually for what we're
Yeah.
used to. So, but when it does snow and does get cold, do the programs get put on hold, or do you still go through the winter?
So we get through the winter. If it is unsafe to drive to us, right, I will cancel a week. I have not done that often, but I think once last session, there was one day where the roads were so icy, it was not safe. And I believe there was one day that there was a very bad lightning storm,
Mhm.
and we said, let's just not, right? So it is much more of a collective decision, but occasionally, right, if it's not safe for the horses, like if the temperature from in their stalls to in the arena is not going to be safe for them, what I will typically say is if you still want to come, come. We'll still get together, but we may not have hands on the horses. And that's why I say, part of this work is actually just being with each other and having a community and
Mhm.
just spending that time together. So there was actually one day, followed Cinco de Mayo, my group revolted. They did not want to do the horse thing. They wanted to have a meal together.
Oh, wow.
So you know what we did? We got tacos
There
and we
you
sat
go.
down and we ate a meal together. And it was amazing. It was a beautiful day. It was a perfect day to work with
Yes.
horses, and that was not what we wanted to do at all. We wanted, and the horses were still there. They're sticking their heads out of the stalls and they're part of the environment, but the activity, if you will, was that we had a meal together.
Mm.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is. And those horses are probably going, "Oh, man, they got
Mhm.
tacos. Where's ours?"
They may have been jealous.
Yes. And uh, just one second here. All right. Yep. My wife saying hi again. So, and um, just a little funny story, folks. I met Aviva at a resource fair not too long ago, and we talked, and that's when I invited her onto the show, and thank God she agreed, and because this is one fantastic program that not only am I personally going to support and showcase and get the word out, but so is Veterans Assurance Network, which is my organization. So we're gonna put you onto the network there. But funny story, my wife uh, decided to get rid of some of the childhood books that she had collected for our son, who's now 13, and so she posted it online saying, "Hey, got these books for free, or I'm going to sell her for free, or whatever." And so my wife says, "Tim, can you go get this specific book?" And she types me the title and sends me a picture of it. Put it out on the porch. Somebody's coming to pick it up. I says, "Okay. Is there a name to it so I can put it on the bag? Because you got a couple other things out on the porch right now." She says, "Aviva." I said, "Okay." Then I got, wait a minute. How many Avivas can there be in Northeast Ohio?
One.
One.
One that I know of so far.
Yes. So, yes, Aviva came to the house and got a book from us. And so I just had to put that out there because I think that was just an awesome little event. And makes my wife and I laugh too. So I hope you didn't mind me sharing that.
Not at all.
All right. Now, if somebody wants, let me put this back up here. Now, if somebody wants to donate a horse, can they also donate equipment like saddles and everything?
Yes, so I noticed that when we talked about Chefs on Brow, I said that is one of our greatest that is the biggest, fundraiser that we do through the year, but the other one that we often have is a tax sale. So we do accept tax throughout the year, donations, then we have a tax sale, it's usually in May. So yeah, if you wanted to, talk about donating a horse, there's a link on our website to do that. You can call our general number for a time that's best to drop off tack, or frankly, you can just come by during operating hours and drop it off. So between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. You can also donate to us if you don't have things, but you wanted to give, I don't know, $1, we would be very appreciative. And so you can donate literally right through our website as well. Um, if you want to join programming, that is the right email that comes right to me and Kelly, who is our outreach specialist. And if you have any questions, right, if it's not on our website, email me. I'm happy to talk with you.
All right. And I had another question for you, but it slipped my mind. But it'll come back to me because I'm just picturing myself trying to get next to a horse.
You're just gonna have to come. Just
Yeah,
come.
yeah, yeah. And actually, what I like to do too is be able to come out and take some pictures
Of course.
of the facility so I can put them on our website and
Mhm.
promote you even more. And
Absolutely.
fantastic. And we're kind of getting down on time here, so I'm gonna kind of start wrapping things up. And one of the things that I do towards the end of the show is I always, where is it? I'm gonna have to bring it up here. Can't believe how unprepared I was today. Is I had a brother 22 years ago this past Christmas Eve. Yeah, on Christmas Eve. Everything happens to me on Christmas Eve for some reason. Bad event and during the war happened on Christmas Eve. My brother decided to take his own life on Christmas Eve, and he was a Vietnam and Gulf War veteran. So, people, 988, then press 1. You are
Mhm.
now guaranteed to speak to a licensed counselor.
Yes.
No more voicemails, no more being placed on hold. Somebody will talk to you.
Also, the fact that that's a
Mhm.
licensed counselor, which is a huge part of it too. So somebody
Yes.
who's trained and educated to be able to have a conversation with you at a time when you need it most.
Even if you don't feel like you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else,
Mhm.
you just need somebody to talk to. 988, press 1. Also, you mentioned vet centers earlier. The vet center is pretty much right around the corner from my house here in Northeast Ohio. It's very close, and they're open all. Their hours are very long. So if you're a veteran and you need somebody to talk to help you get through a rough time, and you want to face to face, vet
Mhm.
center's the way to go, folks. All right. So uh also
Piece the piece
I'm
that I
getting
can share too is, and this is why
mhm,
we partner with the VA, and this is why we partner with the vet center, is I get and we get that talking is not for everybody,
right.
right? So if you're in crisis, which I've been there, right? Crisis
Hmm.
happens. Um, then pick up the phone, even if it just means breathing on the line with somebody on the other side, right?
Yes.
But one of the reasons that I do what I do with horses is that traditional sit in a room talk therapy is not for everyone. It can be a piece of the puzzle, or it can be a puzzle that doesn't work for you.
Hmm.
And so sometimes those other, we call them embodied approaches. So it's things that you have to physically do with your body that may or may not include talking. Sometimes help us to process trauma, to unlock happiness, to move through, literally moving, move through the process that our bodies need to be able to be receptive to change.
Hmm.
And that is, there is science behind that. I'm happy to, like I said, talk science to anybody who would like to nerd out with me. I've done research in this area. But please know that if you hear the call 988 or get in touch with the vet center and you're like, yeah, I've done the therapy thing, that's not for me. It might not be right now, and that's okay.
Right.
What we do at Fieldstone is one of the other opportunities to serve you in a different way.
Yes. And on top of that, Veterans Insurance Network, Fieldstone Farm, another organization called Neopat, Northeast Ohio Patriots, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's right. The Cleveland Cavaliers, folks, are sponsoring a rally to help prevent suicide on September 23rd of this year from 11 to 2 o'clock. There's going to be entertainment. There's going to be free food. There's going to be resources. There's going to be activities for kids. There's going to be an extremely positive atmosphere that day. And this is going to be at Willard Park downtown, right across the street from the Federal Building. If you know me, you know where Willard Park is because it's where the free stamp statue is at as well. And that's where I held a rally outside Senator Portman's office when I advocated for the PACT Act. So you all who know me know where that park is. All right. And from 11 to 2, folks, I cannot guarantee you there will be any Cavaliers players there. Okay. So please don't ask. But there's going to be plenty of activities of an extremely positive atmosphere. Then later on that afternoon, just shortly after, right before we're supposed to end, the Cleveland Pickle Festival is just right down the street. All right. So you can do 2 events in one day. Come support us to help stop not only veteran suicide, but suicide in general. Because there's also going to be not just veterans organizations. There's going to be other organizations. I believe another one that is going to be coming is American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP. Yes, they're going to be there, and I think United Way. So, folks, come on down, come have a good time. Bring a chair because there's going to be entertainment. There's not much seating at Willard Park, but it is a very beautiful park downtown Cleveland. So, and also one last thing here is this podcast is brought to you by Veteran Insurance Network. Yes, that is my organization. So you can go to our website, which is veteransinsurance.org, find out exactly everything we do. And Aviva, thank you for helping veterans. I truly, truly, truly do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I wouldn't have it any other way, and I feel lucky to be able to do this work. So I'm grateful to every single person who comes out and wants to be a part of this with me.
Oh, man.
So thank you.
So, people, even if you're not a veteran and you think this program could be for you, let me put that back up there one last time here. There it is. Fieldstone Farm at fieldstonefarm.org. There's the email. For those of you who are listening to the audio on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify, this will be in the description. So don't feel like you're going to be left out. You'll have all this information in the description as well. So the email is there, the website's there, and I urge everybody to at least go to the website, check out the website, see if it's for you or not. If you think it is, get in contact with them. I know Aviva will definitely enjoy you coming on out, even if it's just to check out the place to see if it might be a fit for you. I'm sure that's okay. And again, Aviva, it's been an honor to have you on. I appreciate you if you can hang on after we go off the air for a moment.
Absolutely.
And people, next week, I'm hoping to have a representative from the Cavaliers, a representative from Neopat to come on, talk about the event that's going to be happening in Cleveland. And matter of fact, if you'd like to join us next Wednesday too, to come on, talk about what's going to happen, because I'll be sending you some information about that here shortly. And that's next week's program, folks. So we'll see you next week.